1, 2, 3. I know beats like ABC. I come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to the Process Podcast and TV show. We have a special guest, Sean Langston. He's the owner of the Langston Realty Group, a real estate investor, mentor, and coach. He's also one of my business partners. Sean, like most of us, grew up in the inner city of Washington, D.C. to be exact. And as a way to survive, he got caught up into the fast life. After paying his debts to society, he made a decision to change his life, to use his story to help change the lives of other people. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Thanks for having me,
How
Ed.
you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I appreciate you for having me, brother.
Man, I appreciate you being on.
Yeah.
You know, it's a big thing for you to share your story. That's a piece of you
Yeah.
that nobody knows unless you tell them. You
That's
know what I
right.
mean?
That's
So,
right. That's right.
What I like about you is that you want to share your story because you want to make a difference in the world.
That's right.
It's much easier just to keep it moving and be like, hey, you know, I got mine.
Listen,
They
right.
got to get there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But you're
man.
not. You're a
Yeah.
selfless person, so you want to share
Yeah.
with the next person, because as we embark on this next season, it's going to be very, very important for us to evoke hope
Yeah.
and change in our
Yeah.
youth, and just, it doesn't have to be just the youth, but just people in general.
No
A
question.
lot of people just lost. They just out here, man.
That's
So,
right. That's right.
just want to ask you a little bit about your story.
Yep. Yep. So a little bit about me. Like you said, grew up in the Washington, D.C. area. I grew up in the midst of the crack era. You know, as a 12-year-old, you know, that was when crack was heavy in my community. And so, you know, when I was coming up, I only seen really three types of people as a young person. I saw pimps, I saw prostitutes, I saw, you know, four type of people: drug users and drug dealers, right? And, you know, as a young person, very impressionable, I'm like, you know, I ain't no pimp, you know, I don't want to be a drug user, because my brother was on drugs, still is to this day, you know, only by God's grace that he's still here. So I knew I didn't want to go down that path. And so I started out by, you know, selling drugs. Really was just really to kind of help my mom, and my dad was an alcoholic. And so, you know, there's times where he would drink so bad that he would spend his whole check, right? You know, his friends would take advantage of him or whatever. He would just, you know, he was a good-hearted person too. And so, you know, when I got involved into, you know, drugs, and I saw that as an opportunity really just to be able to buy my own clothes, be able to, you know, buy my own snacks, you know. As a 12-year-old, I thought it was something simple, right? I'm like, I just wanted to do some basic things, but I didn't know that it was leading me down a path that where I didn't know where I was going, right?
Right.
And I think oftentimes that happens where we get into something and we don't really know where we're going. We think we're going one place, but we end up somewhere else. And so I ended up in a lifestyle that ended up leading me to prison, right? And so grew up, young person, started selling crack at the age of 12. You know, I seen a lot of death and destruction. Seen a lot of crazy things. You know, I've even had threats on my life. Heck, my nephew was kidnapped for ransom, you know, to get money from me. So, you know, we had to, you know, get involved in all that type of crazy stuff. So, you know, I didn't sign up for that.
Right,
You know,
right,
as a
right.
12-year-old, you know, kind of what I was doing, I'm like, hey, I just want to have some extra money just to, you know, buy me some shoes and all
help
that
with
good
your
stuff.
family.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so I got involved in that lifestyle, and, you know, it just took me down this path of no return. And obviously, coming up during that time, you know, it was very dangerous for a young person. It was dangerous for a young black man. And so I was just really in survival mode, you know, most of the time, and always looking over my back and looking over my shoulder. And, you know, just went down that path and ended up getting caught up and ended up going to prison. Ended up doing 7 years in the federal prison. And, you know, I really felt like my life was over. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it's only by the grace of God
But God,
that
yeah.
you know that I'm here talking to you, and I know that you can relate. You've been through some things, but it's only by the grace of God, man, that I'm
Absolutely.
here sitting here talking to you.
Absolutely. What I love about your story and what makes it so powerful is that it shows us that your right now doesn't have to be your forever.
That's
I
right.
think a lot of people that are in the game are misunderstood, but very talented.
Yeah.
They can run Fortune 500 companies. They have the hustle. They have the drive. They
That's
have
right.
they can organize teams and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And you're an example of that. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they have heart. But the only difference is the product that you're selling. It can jeopardize your growth and possibly freedom or even life.
That's right. Man.
Um, so since we're living in the cancel culture, a lot of people are so easy to count you out and dismiss you because of your past,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't agree with that. What if God was to dismiss us
That's right.
for something that we did? Then none of us would be here.
That's right.
I feel as though everyone has a past and something that they have to overcome. Uh, and look at some of the great people in our community. Look at the TIs, the
Jay-Z's.
Jay-Z's.
Yep.
You know,
That's
a lot
right.
of people, most people have stories.
That's right.
Um,
That's right.
we're also business partners, which
Yep.
we recruit agents and train them.
That's right.
You train them on how to purchase and buy investment properties.
That's right.
So, you know, you just because you sold drugs doesn't mean that you didn't want to help. You've always had a heart. For
Yeah.
people.
It's misdirected.
Um,
Misguided.
so how did your faith and spirituality play a part in your change?
Yeah, you know, my faith and my spirituality was huge. You know, it was the biggest part, to be honest, because without my faith and without my spirituality, I don't know that I would be where I am today as far as like mindset, as far as like where, you know, God has blessed myself and my family. Without that, I wouldn't be where I am because I never lost hope. You know, it was times where I was in a bad place, in a place where I felt, you know, that Sean, you really, you know, it was that menace to society. You remember when the guy said, "You know, you done effed up." That's how I felt. I was
Yeah.
like, man, you done did it this time, Sean. You're point of no return. People don't understand. It's a difference when, if you in a state and you get the state police or the county police to come charge you, that's one thing. But when the FBI come looking for you, the federal government,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I was in state court. They brought my case to a federal court. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. Was in the courtroom and the state prosecutor, so you got to think, I'm just there, you know, for a hearing. The state prosecutor says, "Your Honor, we're going to drop these charges against Mr. Langston." Well, I'm looking around, I'm like, here's a God, right?
Right.
You know, and so I'm like, wow, I don't know what just happened. I ain't gonna ask what happened,
Yeah.
you know, but, you know, so I was just thinking of the next move I was gonna make.
Yeah.
So the state prosecutor said, we're gonna drop these charges in lieu of handing these charges over to the federal government, the FBI. And man, the FBI agents, U.S. Marshals came out the back and got me, and my life was never the same.
And I remember you telling me that when the judge said something, they said 184 months. And
Yeah,
they
man.
slammed that gavel down.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know, that was just.
That was another wake-up call. You know, in the state, they tell you get years or whatever. They say 5 years, 10 years. People can, you know, you understand what that is. So that's all I had ever heard, whether I knew somebody or saw on TV. And so when I got sentenced, they sentenced me to 111 months. So I heard months. I'm like, oh, cool, I can do a couple of months. And I started doing the math. I'm like, 111 months? I'm like, man, that's a long time.
Yeah.
I almost passed out. You know, I was like, wow, like, Sean, you really messed up. And so, you know, I had a lot of time to reflect, you know, and really just my faith, my spirituality, but not only that, my family, my wife stuck with me. You know, she was there through thick and thin.
That's what I was about to ask you.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to have a good support system? How much do you think that contributed?
Oh, that's
your
huge,
current
man.
success?
It's huge to have the right people in your corner, right? You know, sometimes the right people aren't going to be the people that are going to tell you what you want to hear all the time, you know, and so the right people in your corner is hugely important. It kind of reminds me of people see, my wife and our success nowadays, right? So kind of I feel like, people they see the glory, but they don't know your story. And people see us, and we live in our life because we are blessed. We're blessed abundantly, and so we have pictures and all that stuff. And so people will say that don't know our story, like, we want to be like you guys. Oh, we want to be like you guys. And
But you got to go through that.
They got to go through
you
that.
got to go through that
Man,
other stuff.
If
and
we told them
that's
the
what
story,
people they see stuff and they're
Yeah.
intrigued, and it's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
But you got to go through all that
All
I
that
went
stuff.
through
That's right.
to get that. Everybody's story is different.
That's
so,
right. That's right. That's right.
How important do you think it is to remove yourself from the elements and your surroundings to be able to effectively change? I'm huge on elements.
Yeah.
I know when I graduated from high school, and I was in foster care, and I aged out of the system from 10 on graduating out. I had to leave. I went to the military. That's one of the best things that ever happened for me and my family.
That's
was
right.
to get away.
Absolutely.
Because it's just, traps and
Yeah,
different
man.
things that pull you in, different people.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love my city now. I love Jacksonville, Florida, but
That's right.
I think what attributes to a lot of my success is leaving. So what do you think about the elements and pivoting?
Yeah, that's important. It's important, man. They say, places and faces, right? And so that was super extremely important. We were blessed that, my wife had an opportunity to come down here in North Carolina with her job. So that was another piece that really helped keep me out of trouble, because I still got the same connections. It would be nothing for me to just go right back into what I was already into. I got people that I know that's still doing it. And so the element is important. And one thing that I believe and one thing that I've learned, so much so, my nephew lives with me now, right? I got him out of that element. He's a 15-year-old, so I know what happens in DC with a 15-year-old, right? And he got a single mother. But one thing I believe when you're talking about element, I believe that you can't be what you don't see, right? So if you don't see anything different, you don't know anything different, right? Like me coming up, I didn't really see any positive male role models. So, being in a different element is really important, right? So I think that whoever it is, you can be a younger person or adult, you gotta be in the right element. You gotta get out of the wrong element, Just because something is good to you doesn't necessarily mean that it's good for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you've always had leadership qualities and a heart for the people. So tell me how this translates right now into what you're doing.
Yeah, man. People that know my mom know that one of her favorite sayings was, my mom was just a simple person, but a God-fearing person. She loved God, right? And, her whole thing was, she always said, what would it hurt? And what she meant by that is, what would it hurt to help somebody? What would it hurt to give somebody a compliment? What would it hurt to, feed somebody, right? And so she always had a giving heart. As a matter of fact, when I was young, it used to piss me off, to be honest, because I was like, Mom, we barely have anything, and you want to give stuff away.
Right.
And it wasn't until I got a little older and I started to appreciate that. And so I got that naturally from her. I try to help as many people as possible because I seen the impact that she had on people. I mean, when my mom passed away, there was people lined up to talk about things that she had helped them with that I never even knew. It was a guy that went up there. I grew up with this guy. He was like, man, Miss Langston fed me like when we didn't have any food. I came to her, I told her, like, look, my kids, we don't have no food. Can you help me, Miss Langston? So I got it naturally, right? And so now that, I'm in a position where I can have a positive impact on people, I'm just trying to have a bigger impact, man. I'm trying to touch as many people in a positive way as I can and make a lasting impression. I want my legacy to be bigger than hers, right? You always want the next generation to be a little better.
Right.
So I want to carry that torch, man. She had 20, 30 people, standing up at her funeral, wanting to talk, all of them couldn't. I want to impact so many people. I want to have hundreds and thousands of people to say, you know, Sean helped me with this, Sean helped me with that. And that's why I love partnering with you, to be honest, man, because I just see your heart, man. You know, you got a heart for the people. Like
Appreciate it.
even these, you know, shows that you do, a lot of people may not really understand. It's not all about you.
Right.
You want to put a positive image out there and sow positivity and hope into the atmosphere. And
Absolutely.
so I'm right there with you, bro. I'm right there with you. I want to keep doing the same thing. And so, yes, I just got it in my blood, man.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So I was just talking to my wife about this earlier today. You think about all the people growing up who inspired you,
Yeah,
and you look around now. Now you the OG.
that's right.
Now you the inspiration for, you know what I mean? So
That's right.
you may not have as many people that inspire you now
Yeah,
because some of them have passed on,
Yeah.
or, you know, maybe they're not in certain industries anymore.
that's right.
But that means that the torch is handed to you.
It's handed
So
down.
what you gonna do with it now?
That's
Now,
right.
now you're that cool uncle that you looked up to. You're
That's
that
right. That's
you know
right.
that person that you saw like, man, I want to be. That's you. But
That's
it's
right.
all responsibility now.
That's right. That's right.
To show the younger people and other people that are coming behind us. This is how it's done. This is how
it's
you
done.
tie a tie. This is how you simple
Yeah,
stuff like
those
that
simple
you wouldn't
things,
even
man.
know that we
Yeah.
weren't showed.
Yeah,
That we had to kind of learn.
and you know the whole thing where, you know, the older folks used to say, and you know, as young people we didn't really understand. They like, you know, somebody's always watching you. And what I've learned over the years, like I said, being where I was, doing what I was doing, I had a lot of influence in, like, you know, people that I didn't even know. You know, when I was out on the street doing the wrong thing, people still to this day talk about they looked up to me. And really,
Yeah.
in so many ways, it's really a bad thing because, you know, although I had good intentions, I wasn't doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And so that's why now I'm really aware of what I do, because I know people are watching even when you don't want them to watch. Like, I didn't tell them to watch me. I didn't tell anybody to follow me. I didn't tell anybody to admire me. You know, I was just trying to take care of my family and take care of people around me, right? I wasn't like saying like, I want you to be like me. Like, I wasn't telling people to be like me. But now I know that we have a responsibility to the next generation
Yes.
to be an example, right? You can't shine a light without people seeing your light, right? And so I think that's super important, you know, for us to take in that torch that the other generation before us, you know, passed on to us, and for us to be that positive light. Now that, like I said, just still hearing that to this day, younger people saying they admired me, and I'm like, dude, that's not the thing you want to, like,
Right.
that wasn't the thing,
Right.
you know. And so I'm trying to make sure I do as much positive as I can, so the people that are looking after me can see a positive example and know how to be a good person, you know, whether it's young, you know, men looking up to me, how to be a better man, you know. And so I think that's super important. Like, that gets me going every day.
And looking at you now, like if you wouldn't have shared your story,
Yeah.
looking at you, nobody would be able to,
I
you know what I'm
know.
saying? Because you polish, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't look.
Hey, it's
So-
only by the grace of God. You know, one thing I know is, luckily I don't look like what I've been through.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, what you talking about? What you talking about? So yeah, it's I've been blessed, brother, man, and so I don't take it for granted. I don't take it for granted, man. Like, you know, like I said, I shared on one of the other podcasts with you, is it was actually people who told me, you know, that we were plotting on your life. We wanted to kidnap you and kill you. I can laugh about it now because I'm just so glad that God covered me. So I talk about God a lot because, you know, the success that people see, it would be nothing without God and my family and all that stuff, right? And so I just want people to know, whatever it is, get around someone, something positive, something bigger than yourself, or get into something, a movement that's bigger than yourself. I ain't, you know, telling people that it has to be a religion, but if you become a part of something that's big, and that's why I said I love what you're doing, because you're showing people how to do something that's beneficial outside of themselves. What I've learned over time, Ed, is when you give back, it's always going to fulfill you. You know, I get more fulfillment from giving than I do getting.
I agree.
And so that's what, like I said, what I love about you, because you're always looking for ways to add value, whether it's through content, whether it's through uplifting, whether it's through leading, you know, and so all that's important because people are watching us.
Yeah.
People
yeah.
are watching us.
I agree. And if
Yeah.
you look at some of those statistics,
Man.
like if you look at the statistics of people that went to prison that made it out, or people that were in foster care
Yeah.
and aged out of the system, how many of them are either in and out of jail or dead?
That's right.
Those are statistics have
That's
you
right.
have you dizzy. You know
That's
what I'm saying? But
man.
God did.
God did.
He had his hands on both of us for a reason.
What? For a reason.
So
exactly.
you know, like you said, you definitely, you know, I mean, neither one of us take that for granted
At all, man. That's why I believe that, you know, we have that kindred spirit, right? You know, to give back, because we know that it could have been different. You know what I mean? Like I know people that been through the foster system that didn't make it out, and you know, I didn't really realize it because coming up, I didn't really understand all the particulars. I heard about the foster system. And so I'm just saying that the fact that you have a giving heart, knowing that it could have been worse for you, like my sisters, when they got into foster care, some of the stories I used to hear about the kids, I'm like, man, that's tough.
Yeah, sometimes going into the home is worse than where they took you from.
That's right. That's right. So I mean, you know, we're both blessed, brother. You know,
Yes.
to be where we are today, and we're just paying it forward, man. And so that's what I love about this platform, and that's what I love about what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, I thank you for being on the show and sharing your story.
You, man.
I wish you the best of luck. We're gonna continue to build.
Yes, sir.
And teach and educate and
Let's do it.
and inspire.
That's right. That's right.
So where can people find you if they want more information about you and what you're doing? How can people find you?
Yeah, so on Facebook, you know, I'm easy to find. It's Sean K. Langston. You might see my son, you know, he's a junior, but I'm the one that got the bald head. So Sean K. Langston on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's Sean K. Langston Business Builder. So either one of those platforms, I could easily be found. Reach out to me, DM me if you got any questions. Feel free to touch base with me.
All right.
1, 2, 3. I know beats like ABC. Might come up, they hate to see. I may believe till they believe.